So good afternoon. Welcome back. We've got a meaty plenary in store for you. I just want to say up front that we're starting a little late, and so we'll run a little late. Don't worry, everything is pushed back, and so you're not missing anything, so don't go rushing out before the end of the plenary itself. I apologize in advance. There will be no question and answers because we've got about 7 speakers. Each have a lot to say, and so we want to give you an opportunity to hear them all. First up is Rhone Resch. The next speaker is working every day to ensure that America stays on the forefront of solar technology. Rhone Resch has a long history of working to protect our environment and produce clean energy. Rhone has 15 years of experience in both the private and public sector. Now he's the president and CEO of the Solar Energy Industries Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Rhone Resch.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Not a problem. Thank you very much, Jerry, and thank you to the Blue-Green Alliance for having me here today. This is a spectacular event, one that which we always love to come to, and I'm very honored to say that SEIA is a sponsor this year. For those of you who aren't familiar with SEIA, we are the National Trade Association for the solar energy industry here in the United States. We're made up of about 1,100 companies that represent all sectors of the industry, from the manufacturing to the installation, even the end users. And within those companies, we represent all technologies, and this includes photovoltaics, so those panels that directly convert sunlight to electricity, solar water heating, panels that are used to take the heat from the sun to generate warm water, hot water for cooking, cleaning, showering, and industrial purposes, and concentrating solar power, which are utility-scale power plants that are under development right now in the Southwest, which will bring clean electricity to millions of Americans. What I wanted to do today was just talk a little bit about solar, what happened this last year and where we're headed, because I think it's pretty exciting. For those of you who haven't thought about solar in a while, I just want to leave you with 3 ideas. First, that solar is the cleanest technology available for our future. Second, is that we are the safest technology available of any electricity industry technologies. And third, that we create more jobs per megawatt installed than any other technology out there. Just to give you a sense, residential solar creates nearly 30 jobs for every megawatt installed. Commercial solar creates about 15 jobs for every megawatt installed. Compare that to natural gas, which is less than 2 jobs per megawatt installed, or coal, which is closer to 1 job per megawatt installed. And people turn to me and say, why is solar a little bit more expensive than the other technologies? I said, because we create jobs. We're not just energy policy, we're economic policy. We're not just energy policy, we're environmental policy. And if you want solutions to all of these issues, it may cost a little bit in the beginning, but it's going to pay off in spades in the long run. In 2009, I'm happy to say we had a record year of growth in this country. 38% growth in the solar electric market. And when you break that down even further, we saw 100% growth in the residential market and a 200% growth in the utility market. These are exciting numbers. For those of you who have already forgotten, 2009 was the worst downturn in the U.S. economy in over 70 years. For an industry to have almost a 40% growth rate is absolutely amazing, and it shows the potential for solar to be resilient and to be a major economic driver in this country. But maybe the more important fact isn't just the growth rate, it's the jobs that we created. It's very difficult to count individual jobs in the solar industry because there's so many companies out there installing solar. A very, very conservative number shows that we created over 17,000 new jobs in the United States last year alone. And you know, the good news is that these aren't just jobs, these are careers. These are new opportunities for people who've been let go by the housing industry. I've met literally hundreds of people who are electricians, roofers, plumbers, carpenters, who said, I haven't had a job for 6 months, and now I've got a job in the solar industry. In fact, I've got a career in the solar industry. And you know what's great about it? I'm proud. It's showing me a future, an industry that's going to continue to grow, and I'm part of that. And when I come home and I tell my kids what I'm doing, they say, Dad, I'm proud of you. The job that you have now shows you're giving back to the environment, that you're making a difference. and that you're part of a larger effort in this country to move us to the next generation of clean energy technologies. But in 2009, we also saw some major changes on the policy front, and it's important, since you're in Washington, that we talk a little bit about policy. Two that I want to focus on because they're important for many of the people in this room and ultimately for the industry overall. One is the Treasury Grant Program, and this is a program that created a convertible tax credit through the Treasury Department that allowed flexibility in the industry. Ultimately, Wall Street disappeared from the financial sector for supporting renewable energy in 2009. Congress and the administration stepped forward and created the Recovery Act, which created programs like the Treasury Grant Program, which ultimately allowed solar to continue to grow. We also created the manufacturing tax credit. People say, gosh, we're seeing all these jobs go over to China. Why is that? Well, you know why? Because China subsidizes their solar industry up to 80% of the cost of a new facility. They provide them with cheap electricity, in many cases free or very low-cost labor. Can't compete against that. And what did our federal government offer us last year? Up to nothing. Finally, a 30% tax credit was put in place in the Recovery Act, and I'm thrilled to say that solar took advantage of it. There are now 60 new manufacturing facilities around the country that will be under construction due to that one single program. Think about that, 60 new solar manufacturing facilities due to that one program. Absolutely critical. And when you look at where those factories are, sure, they're in California. It's a big manufacturing sector. But the number 2 state, Michigan. Number 3, Ohio, followed by Tennessee. Our manufacturing base is being supported and growing by the solar energy industry as we support manufacturing here in the U.S. Another change that we're starting to see in 2010 as we start to move forward is new business models come out. Everyone's always asked me this question, well, when is the most efficient solar panel going to come out so I can put it on my house? And I don't think the innovation really is going to continue to be on technology. Technology will always improve at a nice steady pace. But what we're seeing is ingenuity on the business side. And this is what I love about solar. It is the American dream. You're seeing people come up with new business models, new ways of financing solar, or new ways of bringing it to the consumer that make it cost effective, that remove the upfront cost. PACE financing, property assessed clean energy bond financing, legislation was enacted in 19 different states in the past 14 months. And what that means is you've got a whole entire new mechanism for funding solar on rooftops of homes and businesses, make it incredibly exciting. And now we're sitting on an inventory of 21,000 megawatts of utility scale solar power projects that are ready to go in the Southwest as soon as we get permitting in place. But ultimately, we're in a position where we still need help. We're still facing a downturn in the economy. The provisions that were created in the Recovery Act expire at the end of this year. So where the oil industry gets permanent tax credits starting in 1916, or the nuclear industry gets permanent subsidies starting in the 50s, we get a 2-year incentive that expires at the end of this year. You can't build an industry on a 2-year incentive. So we're asking Congress to extend the Treasury Grant Program for 2 additional years. Now listen to this. This is an interesting fact. By extending the Treasury Grant Program for 2 years, it will cost the taxpayers $5 million. That's million with an M, not with a B. $5 million. We estimate, we have a study coming out later next week, we estimate this will create alone in the solar industry 55,000 new jobs. Okay, do the math. That means $90 for every new job we're creating in the United States. Now let's do the math a little further. What we're doing with those 90 jobs, or those 55,000 jobs, is we're taking people off of unemployment, saving the federal government nearly $12,000 a year in unemployment. And we're turning those people into productive citizens in our economy, generating $10,000 or more in actual income tax revenue for the federal government. All right, so this is just purely as a taxpayer, as a conservative taxpayer myself, I want a good investment on our dollar. So for $90, we're going to create a job that's going to save the federal government $22,000 a year, the first year. There's no better payback from a policy perspective than to extend the Treasury Grant Program. If there is a no-brainer with respect to growing our economy, growing clean energy jobs, and showing a positive return to the federal government, it's to extend that program. Finally, I want to talk about manufacturing in this country. The manufacturing tax credit that was created worked. Again, we have 60 plants up and running in the United States. We want to see that extended. We want more factories here in the United States. It sickens me to see